to talk about a very important technique in answering reorder paragraph questions, which we call blockchain technique. You can see the picture of a blockchain on your screen right now, and what you can notice here is almost every block in this chain is related to a block before it and a block after it. In other words, you can say that this chain becomes a chain only when each block are connected to each other. Reorder paragraph is just like that. Every sentence in the sequence is connected to the sentence before it and also leads to the sentence after it. So in this technique, what we try to do is in each sentence, we try to find out the part which connects it to the sentence before it. And we also try to find out the part which connects it to the sentence that comes after it. So let's look at one question here. This question is quite good to understand the concept of blockchain. First thing, as usual, is we skim through the sentences in the passage and we try to find out the first sentence. In order to do so, we pay special attention to those words which can link a sentence to a sentence before it, or any other clues which tell us that this cannot be the first sentence. First sentence, which we also call topic sentence, usually is an independent sentence which introduces the topic. Although in some cases in your exam, you might get more than one independent sentence, but in most of the cases, there will be only one which will introduce the topic. So from that perspective, if we look at all these sentences here, if we skim through them, then we can see a few clues in each sentence. These are grammatical clues. If you remember, in the beginning of this series, I told you that you will have logical clues and you will have grammatical clues, and your job is to develop your skills to see both of them. Here, for example, the first sentence contains the word but, which tells me that it's connecting to a sentence before it, which perhaps has something opposite to what this sentence contains. The third sentence says this lack of, which gives me the clue that this sentence is talking about lack of something mentioned in the previous sentence. Then the next sentence says to do this, which again gives me an idea that this sentence is referring to an action mentioned in the previous sentence. And that's why they are saying to do this. And the last one says when this bank, and it's a clue that a sentence before it was talking about a bank. So these are the grammatical clues which are telling me what could be the possible pair of these sentences, and they're also telling me that these sentences cannot be the first sentence. Based on this, we can clearly see that our first sentence is, in most countries, it is only the government through their central banks who are permitted to issue currency. Now, in blockchain method, what we do is, once we find the first sentence, we try to find out the topic in that sentence and we try to find out the main idea in that sentence. As you can see in this example, it is only the government through their central banks. That is the topic, and the idea is who are permitted to issue currency. So basically, I know this paragraph is going to be about banks, and the idea will be issuing currency. Based on this, I'll find the rest of the sentences. So just like in a blockchain, I can see here one of the parts of this sentence is connected to the second sentence. So I will quickly check the sentences on the left-hand side to see if there is any sentence which contains ideas similar to or related to the two ideas I can see on the first sentence. And while doing that, I came across sentence number 1, which says but in Scotland, because what I can see here is but in Scotland 3 banks. This is opposite to it is only the government through their central banks. So these two are related to each other and but is connecting them. So in Scotland there are more than one bank. In other countries it's mostly just one bank, and that's why they are related. And so I'll pull this sentence to the right hand side. Now, while looking at this sentence, what I can see is, but in Scotland, 3 banks, and then this part is coming from the previous sentence, and there is another part, are still allowed to issue banknotes. So what I can see here is, in this sentence, the part which says in Scotland 3 banks is connecting this sentence to the previous sentence. and the remaining part must be leading to the next sentence. That means now it's going to be easier for me. I will have to check of the remaining sentences which sentence is talking about issuing banknotes. And if I do that, what I can see here is issuing banknotes mentioned in this sentence is something that they have discussed in the second sentence on the left hand side. The first Scottish bank to do this means here to do this means to issue currency, to issue banknotes. So these two sentences now are related to each other. So you can see that the second part of the second sentence is related to the first part of the second sentence on the left hand side. So it will come to this side in this manner. Now again, because to do this part is related to the previous sentence, that means the Bank of Scotland is a new idea in this sentence which must be leading to the next sentence. So you can see that in almost every sentence there is one idea which is coming from the previous sentence. You can call it the previous idea or old idea, and there is a new idea introduced in that sentence which leads to the next sentence. If you continue following this pattern, you will be able to organize most of the information without any problem, as we are going to do with the rest of the sentences here. Because the Bank of Scotland, as it is the new idea here, I'm looking for the same idea in the remaining sentences on the left hand side. And what I can see here is in the left hand side, when this bank in the second sentence means the Bank of Scotland, which tells me that this sentence should be the next sentence in the order, and it will come to this side. And if I say now there is only one sentence left on the left hand side, which means it's the last sentence, but to wrap up this concept in the right way so that it makes sense to you and you can answer questions in the future as well, what we can see here is when this bank is from the previous sentence means whatever comes after that must be leading to the next sentence. And what comes after that is Scot coinage was in short supply and of uncertain value compared with English, Dutch, Flemish and French coin, which means the main idea here is Scot coinage was in short supply. And if I look for that in the left hand side, what I can see here is in the left hand side also I can see that lack of an adequate currency is there, which is the continuation of the idea of the fourth sentence. So in conclusion, in this method, what we do is we try to visualize the blockchain. Just like in a blockchain, what happens here is every part of the chain is connected to the previous block as well as the next block as well. Or in a way, we can say that the first sentence starts with the topic and one idea. And then in the second sentence, you will have that idea from the first sentence and you will have a new idea. And then in the third sentence, you'll have that new idea of the second sentence. And then again, you will have another idea. And just like this, it continues. So as you can see in this blockchain here, the blocks are connected to what comes before them and also lead to what comes after them. In Reorder Paragraph, you can apply a similar technique to answer the question. I hope this was useful. In the next video, we'll be looking into a new concept to answer Reorder Paragraph.